So some of the advantage we will get from DeFi are much more due to the blockchain infrastructure, like immediate settlement, transparency in terms of data. And I think once we will fully use these advantage for the benefit of the society, of clients and of the economy, then we will get something.
Welcome to AssetRush. It's another very, very interesting talk. My name is Boeckenfeld. I'm on the advisory board and I'm super excited because we are here today with Nicolas. And Nicolas is on the executive board of Julius Baer and he will share some very discreet insights with us, I'm sure. So Nicolas, first of all, can you say a little bit about you, what you are, what you do, what you love?
Yeah, hello, Martha. Thank you for welcoming me. Who I am. So, in a nutshell, I'm not a banker. I became a banker, but I was, always passionate about physics. That's what I did. That's what drives me still. How to resolve complex systems, how to look at complex problems and find solutions. I was born in numerical simulation, and then fall back. I have to say a bit by accident into banking, but still found that you had a lot of common challenges to resolve in some cases. I've been driving the advisory business for very long. I've been focusing on market, but also how to better serve clients and make sure that you can provide them some true value in services and not only product distribution, but be here for them in days like today when you face challenges.
Wonderful. I think from a sort of quant physics to banking is very unusual. And there's something else very unusual which you talked to me about before, which is your startup experience. Yeah? I don't think a typical banker has that kind of experience, so maybe you can elaborate.
Yeah, so I would say it would be far-fetched to say it's a startup experience, but I'll talk about it also a bit today. When I did finish my study, I was, together with a couple of friends looking at what shall I do, and it was kind of 98. We had an amazing background thanks to the education we got, and we saw in the US and in some other places people setting up startup, and being a bit of a post-teenager, unsure about the future, we all thought let's go together and do a startup. Did create a simple concept at the time to store information for people traveling, and then we went a step further where we thought we could share pictures, but we gave up, and we gave up very quickly.
So you could have been the next Facebook, but
yeah, most probably not. But I could have been on the right track of this whole revolution that we got. But it gave me a lot of thoughts, even if it was a very short experience, because we didn't found any company. But we gave up quite quickly because we were very well educated, but we were unable to catch up the potential of monetizing data. So we were maybe a bit nerdy, about how to set up database, but making a step back and thinking there is a revolution which is happening and now you can monetize data and create an ecosystem. We were not smart enough to think about that, and then went into the corporate life and perfectly happy today. But this experience gave me a lot of thinking about what is happening today, and what are the foundation of the whole digital asset ecosystem. And some people that with a new crypto winter might think it's not here to stay, we have to give up. And how should you look at what is the real fundamental changes you have in society, in the economy, in financial industry, compared to what is maybe a bit more of speculation and short-term lived.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I love that you said, obviously, with that experience also maybe innovation, you have to be very cautious about it, because in a sense also you shouldn't give up too early. Yeah? So you need to have some breathing space, and you need to have also this passion for it, that you really, really drive it. So in terms of digital assets, you just said it, so what is it what fascinates you, and in particular also, how do clients think about it? Because we have seen they're very interested in NFTs and art and everything, but they're also quite nervous about the exposure, in particular now in these times where Bitcoin is losing so much, and maybe some even have Bitcoin exposure. So can you give us some insights what you do about it and how clients basically react to this market?
Yeah, listen, so the interest, I think, for me, but also in the whole industry, what is happening is we're in the business of wealth management, and if you just come out and say we can digitalize wealth, there is something to look at. So we have to be on the topic, and just putting that on the side to say we ignore it because there is too much of novelty, it's not yet properly regulated, I don't believe that this is the right way to go. So we have to be on it and we have to understand. Now, what we saw is many or some of our clients wanted to get some experience because there is a lot of attractivity by the novelty. So some of them wanted to trade, to understand. Some of them would like to buy an NFT because they are not so sure. And it became somehow a social topic. Everybody is talking about it. Now, one element which is good and which is bad at the same time is you had so much speculation and a price appreciation that was, so insane in a way that everybody wanted to jump on the train and to say, I also want to make money with Bitcoin and the alike. So the good element is it did attract a lot of interest. The bad element is, as always,
the volatility and the reaction maybe. Can they deal with the volatility?
First you have the volatility, so there is no easy way up. Usually there is a very straight way down. But secondly, I would say on the industry, you had also a lot of people that just, took that train. And I would say some of them were looking at new business model innovation that can add value to society, to the economy, and to people. And you have also some other business cases that are just capitalizing on the fact that you can speculate. So, and that's where I came back to, the banking job and what we are doing, where I believe it's truly our responsibility to be here and to provide advice and to help clients navigating this new world, because there is some fascination. But as always, there are also a lot of pitfalls, and you have to be careful about what you want to do, where do you want to do, how do you store your asset, where do you hold your keys, all of these very old-style banking, but are so important, the importance of custody, not losing your money. It might seem very straightforward while money is digitalized, but it's still very important. So that's when we decided to embark into that journey, to see the impact for us, but also very much to help clients.
Yeah, but I can imagine that this is not without hurdles, in particular at a bank like yours. So obviously the opportunity is there. You have 1 trillion as an estimate from BCG in wealth management, which are just lying out there in terms of crypto. And wealth management, as you correctly say, hasn't picked up on that for obvious reasons sometimes. So what's the kind of mindset needed, and how were you able also, because I understand you're very much on the product side, how were you able to get people like from the risk and compliance on board who might not be the most advanced or might not have the same experience that you have?
I would say the general mindset that we took was to say, first, it needs to be a global partnership. We cannot be in an environment where on one side you have the innovation, on the other side you have the risk that doesn't want to help you. What we are doing right now is to build a muscle, because we as an institution need to understand what are we talking about. We need to take very wise decision. Where do we want to put our focus, and what do we want to provide as services to clients? So we did build truly a partnership, externally with the ecosystem, but also very much internally between risk, between legal, between trading, between operation, and between custody, to set up what I would call very basic banking services. Now, one strategic choice that we took, which is, I would say, a tough choice, was to say we will provide advice, or we would like to provide advice. Let's put it like that, because just to provide trading services and to capitalize on some commission.
Advice is also extremely, as you say, is challenging, because you are fully responsible for the advice. So as you mentioned, if someone is losing the key for the MetaMask, and the MetaMask, he just bought some crypto, what are you going to do? So there are all these questions probably which you are faced with, yeah?
Yeah, that's all of these questions. It starts by, where do you book? It starts by which token do you want to take an exposure to? How do you want to do that, directly or indirectly? But it also goes as far as some, simple topics like how do you pay taxes? What happens in case of a succession? So the whole value chain. And, funny enough, and that was the interesting part for me, was on one side to hear lots of hearsay that the banking system is here not to stay because there is new evolution and a revolution which is coming around. Now, when I meet people from the ecosystem, I mean, some of them are desperate to find a traditional institution to provide really the basic services that they need to operate.
Yeah, so it's great, and I think you're also taking a really fantastic path into ecosystem partnerships, which is very important to offer to clients what they really need. You can't do it on your own, and it doesn't make sense because in certain aspects, as you say, in custody or other aspects, you really don't have the capabilities. So fintech, startups, innovator must be on your radar, and you're using this opportunity, I believe, also with AssetRush to get access. And we from AssetRush obviously are totally excited about it because, again, we don't provide banking services in the sense, so it's very good to have this combination also to bring people together, to bring innovators together in that sense. Yeah? And if we are all having this one thing in mind, which is really about the client, as you also voiced it very clearly. So do you see any difference? I mean, usually or in the past also, Julius Baer has been very strong in Singapore, and Asia is very far advanced also as far as digital assets are concerned. How do you differentiate, or is it all the same, or do you push harder there, or what's your reaction also in terms of client demand?
I mean, we see, I would say it's too early for us to see a really differentiating, client demand. The drive that we have, knowing that we want to provide services in a fully regulated way, is to look at what is the behavior of the different center in terms of acceptance. And as you know, Switzerland did pass a new law. So it's quite open in terms of onboarding digital asset. However, you have to do that in a totally compliant manner. When I look, for example, at what's happening in the DIFC, they are thinking about it, but it's not yet in place, and it's going to come. So you have a bit of a dichotomy where people can buy flat with coins, but on the other side, you cannot yet provide financial services. Asia is definitely now, with Singapore taking a leading role also. But with, again, kind of a discrepancy with Hong Kong being very skeptical, I would say, for the time being.
Yeah, MAS is much, so the Monetary Authority of Singapore is much more open. And I've also seen that they do a Project Guardian with JP Morgan, DBS, for moving into also DeFi projects, which I thought is interesting. JP Morgan even is talking about moving 3 trillion into DeFi. That was a big, I would say, announcement or comment from the Onyx chef, you can say, boss of JP Morgan. So what do you think about DeFi? Because in my view, it's all interconnected, decentralized finance, and that's where the comment probably comes from. We don't need banks anymore because we're fully moving into DeFi.
Yeah, I mean, the DeFi was very interesting, and I mean, I can share a personal story. We gave a lot of education internally because we wanted people to experiment digital asset themselves, and I felt that so many people were talking about it, but few had a MetaMask wallet, and as long as you don't do it yourself, it's difficult to understand. Now, people were shocked because some of them started to go on DeFi and say, oh, I can make a 20% yield on a stable coin or some ever. How is it? I think structurally for the next 5 to 10 years, this vision that some might have had that we will get a regulatory arbitrage won't happen. So I think we're going to get the same rules that are applied globally across DeFi and across CeFi. So some of the advantage we will get from DeFi are much more due to the blockchain infrastructure, like immediate settlement, transparency in terms of data, and I think once we will fully use these advantage for the benefit of the society, of client, and of the economy, then we will get something. If we speak about DeFi, like providing services in a less or unregulated manner for speculative reason, I don't believe we have a bright future here, to be frank. And I'm speaking obviously as a CeFi representation, but we can just see, stable coins that are not backed.
I tend to agree in the sense also that the people I talk to in the market who are DeFi passionate and really love it, they would say the same. And unfortunately, there is a lot of fraud and everything already going on with NFTs. So the more the challenge also for clients who lean and trust banks to help them if banks cannot accommodate that request. So if I'm a client and come to you and are looking for NFT art, and what is it, how would you help me?
If today you would look for NFT art, we are not really yet able to provide. That's something that we are developing right now. And the topic is to me less about what piece of art do you want to buy, but what we are looking at is very basic element like how do you store the NFT? I think the NFT itself is interesting, but I've seen so many people buying an NFT which is at the end a treasure map, and the map is leading to nowhere because the piece of art has been stolen. Yeah. Element like how do you look at property right? Element to make sure that again you can integrate that into your wealth in an appropriate manner. So it might seem very boring because on one side you look at OpenSea and you can trade and create an ecosystem and there is a lot of novelty, but in some cases we have to come back to the real world and think that as soon as you put a significant part of your wealth, you need to take all of these elements into account.
Yesterday, and you will love that because I had a talk with Louis, whom you will also meet today, and he is working at a company who does give wealth management a total oversight, so a client tool to see the digital assets, the non-digital assets, so the entire wealth. And what they are also working on, which I find very exciting, is augmented reality, so that you can really help the client to better understand it from a UX point of view. So user experience is very important too. So I hope you will meet him today. If not, I will introduce you to him. And I ask so many people, I think, which are very valuable for you. You will meet tonight and obviously also in the future. So that's great in that sense. So you can't help me to find my right art. I understand you are not an art advisor, but nevertheless, from everything you have said so far, you need to build, I would assume, also a lot of new internal expertise. It's not sufficient that the relationship managers do know how MetaMask works or have been to decentralize. I think that's the poor minimum. But are you hiring new people? I've seen an interesting development there on Roblox. You had advertisement on Roblox for new positions. That is amazing for a bank. I think a lot of other Swiss banks have missed this, that you do that. So can you explain a little bit what you do on Roblox?
Now listen, we are hiring new people. To me, the main challenge is we have a lot of people that understand perfectly the world of private banking as it is today. So on this population, we need to make sure that we can build the muscle, build the know-how, because we need to marry that. But on the other side, I truly believe that as long as we are not interacting, through the community, but also hiring people that are native, that come with a different mindset, different ideas, be it on digitalization, development, client interaction, but also digital assets, we have a high chance just to miss the point. So for me, it's not one against the other. I think we have to bring the first level and to onboard the second one, and then to mix that correctly together.
So what are you going to do on Roblox?
I mean, the objective for us is really to onboard new talents. So we are, putting that in the market in order to source these talents and then integrate them
So you won't do anything in the game, establish a game in Roblox?
No, I mean, the point that we did here was to establish a game, if you might have seen that, as a way to talk to people that we never talk to generally.
Wonderful.
Because these are the talents we need to have internally. So, one day it could be that we decide to set up a game or that we decide to put a branch in the metaverse, or I don't know. That's more for the future. But we can even not discuss about that as long as we don't talk to the people.
I love that, because that's also, I would say, the Swiss solidity, that you can only deliver what you are good at. So you're also trying to get new talent, to get new people who are in this space. So that's really wonderful. So your one sentence on what the future will look like in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think it's going to be much more of a coexistence of one world which is traditional finance with a new world which is coming. But to me, you know, when I look now 20 years back, 1998 when I started, and what has happened with the topic of digitalizing Web 2.0, so reading and writing, I think the topic of digitalizing ownership will provide, you know, many different opportunities from an infrastructure, but also from an investment standpoint to our clients. So on a long-term basis, I think we have a bright future. On a short-term basis, I think it's going to be a bumpy road.
So thank you very much, Nicolas, for being here and sharing all these insights with us, and even that you are in the metaverse already with Roblox, attracting new people for your digital asset base. I look forward working with you in the future and also building the ecosystem of AssetRush. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Martha. Thank you.